Hello, what is up? Excuse me, my voice goes. What is up, Rangers fans? Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation Live. We are live here on a Saturday evening. It is 9:15, or just after 9:15 on a Saturday evening. Saturday the 7th of June, guys. Where the hell has the year gone? It's bloody crazy, isn't it? Absolutely mental that we're already in June. Crazy, crazy times, guys. Crazy times. Look, and so much is going on. So much has gone on, so much is going on, and so much hopefully will be going on. Wanted to get together tonight. We're going to discuss, talk about, have a little chat about what has been. What's the story? What's the story? Morning Glory, as one famous band from Manchester once sang. Be interested to find out all your views on this. Good evening, Michael. Good evening to the Kurgan. Love that. I've got to say, absolutely love that name, the Kurgan. That is a mint name, mate. That is a mint name. Anyway, we're going to talk all things. We're going to talk, obviously, a bit of Russell Martin. Now that the dust has settled, now that everyone's had a little bit of a chance to kind of get their heads around what is going on with Rangers in terms of the appointment. I think, I'll reflect on it in a minute. We're also going to talk a little bit of exits and departures. We're going to talk about culture change. Welcome, James Simpson, the Bedworth loyal, not far from me, mate. Just round the corner. Bedworth, the boil on the arse of Nuneaton. There we go, James. Did you know you were the boil on the arse of Nuneaton? There you go, mate. I've got to say, it's been a fascinating few days to be a Rangers fan. It's kind of been the kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? The epitome of being a Rangers fan, hasn't it? We've had the highs, we've had the lows, we've had the resignation of kind of shit. Is this it? Adrian, good evening. We've had everything, haven't we? We just had everything, and it's kind of odd. I kind of feel odd. I think that's the overwhelming feeling I've got. Evening, Aldo. I've had the overall kind of odd feeling about this whole situation about Rangers and what's going on with the club. We had obviously the takeover, and we were all hopeful. We will talk about Tav, Aldo, don't worry. And we had that whole kind of thing, didn't we? I'm a fan of the Highlander. Yeah, I do love the Highlander, Kurgan. Classic film. Love the Highlander. Love Christopher Lambert. Love Sean Connery in the Highlander. Absolutely love all of it. Highlander was a great movie series. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. One of my favourite movie series of all time. Not my favourite movie. Not my favourite movie of all time, but one of my favourites. One alarming thing is it sounds like Martin still wants Tavernier to be stinking the place out next year. That is not good, says Worried Life Blues. New owner, new board, same shit by the looks of it. I don't know if we're going to go completely down that route, Aldo. Look, we all had very high hopes, didn't we? That things would be different. That things would be... the money. Let's deal with that. Let's talk about money first of all. I think there's a lot been made of the 20 million. A lot has been made of that 20 million, and it was mentioned obviously at the Thing, good film. I've never seen it, Aldo. I've got to say, a lot was made of that 20 million. And obviously them on the other side of the city had their laugh, didn't they? They had their fun at the whole 20 million mark. And they had Celtic will spend 20 million on one player. And you can't win shit with 20 million pounds. Good evening, Blue Nose. How you doing, buddy? And they had their fun about it. But I think they kind of missed the point on the 20 million. I think we've all kind of missed the point on the 20 million. Right. So 20 million was that initial investment, wasn't it? It was the initial investment in the club by the 49ers Enterprises, by Andrew Kavanagh, to get the ball rolling, to start everything off, to kind of begin it, wasn't it? It really was. And I think what we've got to remember is, I don't for a minute think that 20 million is the budget. I don't think for a minute that 20 million is the kind of be all and end all of what Rangers will spend at the end of the day, okay? I don't think that's it. I think it's an initial investment to kind of get things started, to get things underway, And they talked about obviously having to ratify that at the EGM. They talked about the 20 million. I think it's the start, because I was listening to some other bits and pieces on other channels, about managers, about teams, about money, and so on and so forth. And and I think we've got to kind of accept that we don't know how much money there is for Rangers to spend this summer. We don't know, and the press don't know. Rangers Review don't know. Fart on Hand don't know. Four Lads Had a Dream don't know. Stevie Clifford doesn't know. Nobody knows how much money we're going to spend this summer. And the reason that nobody knows how much money we're going to spend this summer is it's that no club ever will come out and say, our budget for this summer is 20 million, 50 million, 100 million, 120 million, 200 million. Okay. If you look down south, you look at Arsenal, who are looking at obviously buying Benjamin Sesko and others. And you look at Liverpool, who are looking at spending 30 million on Frimpong, 150 million on Wirtz. You look at Man United, who are spending 60-odd million on Mbeumo, 62 million on Cunha, 60-odd million on Gyökeres. We don't know what their budget is, do we? We don't know what their budget is. So we don't know what the budget is, and we're not going to find out. Patrick Stewart at no point is going to sit in a press conference and say, Rangers will have £30 million to spend this summer, because the moment he does that, prices go up. The moment he does that, clubs go, well, you've got 30 million to spend, so I want 10 million of it. I want 12 million of it. I want 8 million of it. No club ever reveals their hand. No club ever comes out and says, and they won't across the city either. So I do think that 20 million, that's been used to beat us over the head by the other side of the city is a load of bollocks. I don't think it's just 20 million. Nobody does. If they've got any sense, anyway. Russell Muir says, "Hi mate, think the board is a stick of shit for keeping Tav." Alan Austin says Celtic blew 30 million last season. Worried Life Blue says Russell Muir, he's done, mate. He's lost all his pace. He's a liability in defence. Singing the Blues says, "Evening Bears, evening buddy. Abuse I'm getting because I don't want Tav as captain or playing for Rangers. I'm being accused of not being a true blue." Mate, you'll get it all the time. The Tav fanboys will come for you with massively, buddy, massively. Blue Nose makes a great point. We've got season ticket money to spend. Paul McCoracle, evening troops. How you doing, buddy? David says Russell will blow Brenda out of the water if Frank Connor not in VAR. Funny. Kurgan says another tens of millions next year as well. And like I said, I don't think that any of us have a gospel on Rangers are going to spend 20 million, 30 million, 10 million, 15 million, 100 million. I think if you kind of believe that, then, you've got to just have a little think, go back and remind me whenever a club have come out and told you how much money they've got to spend in a transfer window. So, yeah, I do think that's a little bit of a kind of misconception from the other side of the city and from a number of people in the world. Would I like Connor Cody and Harry Darling as our centre-backs next season, says Paul. You know what? I'd like a bit of experience there. Yes, Paul. I think Connor Cody is a very good defender. I think he would be a player who brings Premier League experience. He's played for Everton. He's played for Wolves. He came through the Liverpool youth system. I like Connor Cody. I think he's experienced. He's what we need. And from what I'm hearing, Paul, from reading stuff, from listening to stuff, is that this is not going to be just a transfer window where we bring in kids. This is not going to be a transfer window just where we bring in 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds, so on and so forth. We're going to bring in experience as well. And, I think Connor Cody would be good. Harry Darling is a player who has excelled under Russell Martin. He was at Swansea with Russell Martin and he excelled with Russell Martin. So Harry Darling would be, I think, a very decent player to have in. And look, if you've got, say, for instance, you've got Connor Cody, Harry Darling, John Suter, Clinton and Ciala, you've got a pretty decent four there to form a core of a squad and to form a core of a team. And look, I think we've all got to accept, and hopefully Russell Martin will do, what a lot of modern managers do. If you go through the Premier League and look at the modern managers in the Premier League, they rotate, don't they? They rotate their squads because they understand that players can't play 50, 60, 70 games a season. It's just not doable anymore. Due to the stresses and the strains and the pace the game's played at. And, certainly in Scotland, when you get the shit kicked out of you virtually every other game by a bunch of, hammer throwers, I'd go Connor Cody, I'd go Harry Darling, Paul. I'd like those two. They'd be good buys. Be happy with those two guys coming into the club. I'd certainly be more happy with experience like Connor Cody and Harry Darling, who are not at the end of their careers. As I say that when we were allegedly interested in Johnny Evans, for example. Singing says, "We'll judge Martin on recruitment and results. Now he's here, I will back him." Worried Life Blue says, "Now he's here, we'll have to back him, but he was disappointing appointment, to put it mildly." Singing the Blue says, "I just can't get Blackadder out of my head with his Harry Darling, lol." Owen, name a player you would recommend personally. Hello. That's a good shout, mate. Who would I recommend personally? Who do I like? Which player would I like Rangers to go out and buy this summer, or at least go and get this summer. Look, I think, if we're talking for a reasonable amount of money now, we're not talking, daft money here. I would love Rangers to show an interest in Lennon Miller. I would love Rangers to go and put in a bid for Lennon Miller. Lennon Miller is to me is a top player. He can play a killer pass. He knows where the goal is. He's got SPL experience. He knows how to play in this league. He knows how to play decent possession football. He's good on the ball. He holds the ball well. He uses the ball well. He's young. He's Scottish. He gets this. He gets it. So for me, David, who asked the question, I would love to see Lennon Miller. Okay, Lennon Miller. Gunnar says we need 2 proper shithouse centre-backs. Nice. How many transfer windows will Martin get before he's sacked, says the Kurgan? That is the biggest question. Alan says, would you ask for another loan with Casanwejo? He looked good before injury. Yeah, I mean, Casanwejo, definitely, Alan. I would certainly be looking at him for a number of reasons. Casanwejo is a guy who can play right back, he can play left back, he can play centre back. He brings you position flexibility. He's come through a youth system in Feyenoord where they play possession-based football, where they play with a style of of playing out from the back. They play with the style that Russell Martin allegedly likes. So, I do think that would be a good. I think he would definitely be a good player to get back. Russell says, do need to get the defence sorted with solid players, not weak players. We had for a good few seasons. Lennon is a good player, but they want 6 million because it's Rangers. Mate, 6 million for Lennon Miller's peanuts. It's decent. It's fair money. It's fair money. 6 million for someone like Lennon Miller. He's a good player. He might not want to come. Look, Maze, I don't know who wants to come. And do you know why? Because I haven't got a scouting network. Because I haven't got a load of scouts that work for me. That go out and actually talk to these players. So unfortunately, I haven't got that. I'm like you. Just because I've got a podcast, just because I've got a bit of insight, I don't know, mate. I don't know. Alan says, if Raskin or Diamande leave, I can see Lennon Miller being a realistic choice. Yeah, I agree. Was in shop there getting me bran flakes. Love a big pot of someone says, all day. Nice one, all day. RFC72, welcome, buddy. Says, why would we look at Casa, who's had numerous serious knee injuries, same knee, couple of knee surgeries on them. Good shout. Should we sign Seema personally? Oh, Blue Nose, mate. You know how to do it, don't you? You know how to do it. Blue Nose, you know how I feel about Abdallah Seema. You know how I feel about him. You know I love him. Mate, if I was that way inclined, I'm not. Okay, just to clear things up, I'm not. I'm not. I would marry Abdallah Seema. Love that guy. Love that big bastard. He's a quality player. My only concern, Blue Nose, is his injuries. Obviously, he was injured at Brighton. He was injured at Rangers. He was injured at Brest, which I still find really funny that there's a football team called Brest. So yeah, absolutely, 100% Brest. Funny, but yeah, I do like him, but unfortunately, he is injury prone. We are watching Chilean midfielder Vincent Pizarro, says Paul McCoracle. I haven't looked into it, mate. I haven't even started looking at players particularly yet. Dessa's leaving. I'm hearing. So who plans striker Danilo going to? Says Aldo. Mate, Hamza's the answer. I'm telling you now, Hamza's the answer. And Dor Turgeman. I would love us to sign Turgeman for 2 reasons. One, he's a good player. Turgeman is a good footballer. Right, he's a quality footballer. And he knows where the goal is. He creates chances. He scores chances. And the second reason I'd like us to sign him is because he's an Israeli. He would wind the fuck out of Celtic. And I'd love that. 4 million Motherwell must sell this window. He's available on a free from January, says Alan. Good shout. We need goalkeepers too. We do. Guys, Rangers linked with Nathan Patterson. Would you bring in Peterborough winger? Who's the Peterborough winger, Mark Dowie? Felt sorry for that Scotland goalkeeper last night. He was shit, mate. Joe Rebo from Southampton, maybe. Seema, Cheney on the wings, Igman up front. Russell, that would be amazing. Olympiacos have a young player Brighton want, and Seema is being offered. Danilo stealing a wage, though. If Brest were a Scottish club, they would be called Diddies. What's my dog's name? My dog's name's Shadow, mate. It's Shadow. I didn't name him. I wasn't allowed to name him what I wanted to name him. So it was my ex-wife that named him. Ha ha, says Aldo. Brest is best. Not getting involved with that one. Guys, put Danilo out on loan. His contract is until 2028. 30 plus wages for Jamie Vardy, says Mark Dowie. I mean, it seems to be there is an interest, isn't it? Caboo. I'll have a look at that, mate. Look, I mean, let's have a little chat about Russell Martin, shall we, first of all? We'll talk a bit transfers. We'll talk a bit Tavernier. We'll talk a bit all that shortly, guys. So let's talk about Russell Martin, shall we? Look, I think I think there was a lot of us were really, really disappointed. Really were disappointed, Gartz Lee says, distance to the Ibrox ready last night. Oh my God, I'm suicidal. Yeah, I think we all were. Brest should have got Rod Fanny. I love that one. Oh, fucking hell, Stuart. That's amazing. That's quality, mate. That's quality. Where we go? You've completely lost my train of thought now. Talking about breasts and fannies and things like that. Good job our missus isn't watching. God, if she was watching, she'd fucking hang me. Anyway, if Mrs. James is watching, I'd get executed. Watch out your dog doesn't get shadow banned for hating Tim's. True. What about the boy Kamara from PSG? Blue Nose, I heard a little bit of something about that possibly falling down because it was a Coppen target. I don't know. We'll have to have a look at that one. I'll have to have a look. Like I said, I haven't even started looking at players yet. I'm going to look at players, guys. Don't worry. Anyway, let's talk a little bit of this Russell Martin situation, okay? So, Russell Martin, I think, we were all secretly a bit disappointed with the whole situation with Russell Martin. I think what the situation was we'd heard so many names. Okay, we'd heard Brian Priska, we'd even heard Jose Mourinho as a possible, hadn't we? We'd heard him as a possible. We'd heard, obviously, Steven Gerrard's coming home. We heard that one. That divided the fan base. We heard, Davide Ancelotti was going to be the man. The Italian media was saying it was 99% done. So, the French media as well was saying the same thing. So we were all kind of saying it's going to be him. Marca, the Madrid radio station, was saying it's going to be Ancelotti to Rangers. So, there looked like a lot of evidence that it was going to be Ancelotti to Rangers. And I think we all got a little bit carried away and a little bit excited with the names, didn't we? With Mourinho and Gerrard and Ancelotti and all these names and stuff. And I think the truth of it is, none of us knew anything really. None of us kind of knew who really was interviewed. And you know what? I don't think we'll ever know unless someone comes out and says, at the end of the day, I was interviewed. These people were interviewed, okay? Unless Patrick Stewart comes out and says these, and he's not going to, because at the end of the day, these people could have jobs. They could be going into jobs. It's not professional for Rangers to come out and say, well, we interviewed Priska, Mourinho, Gerrard, X, Y, and Z, okay? We've got to just kind of accept that we've got Martin, and this is the way we've got to do. We've got to kind of look at it. We've got to judge him on how he does as Rangers manager now. And look, am I happy with Russell Martin as Rangers manager? No, of course I'm not. And Subbo's right. Subbo says the Martin appointment was deflating. It was deflating. It was very deflating. Like I said, because I think we'd heard all these names. We'd heard Gerrard, we'd heard Mourinho, we'd heard, Ancelotti, we'd heard Priska, we'd heard, all these exciting names that we were linked with, and then it's Russell Martin. And, we'd kind of been told, hadn't we, as well in the whole build-up to the appointment of Russell Martin, that, that would be a massive risk for Rangers, and the guy's shocking, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody. Of course I am, and I admit that, hand on heart, I admit that. But we've got to kind of deal with the situation that we're in, and we deal with it now. We have Russell Martin as our manager. Whether we want Russell Martin as our manager or not, he is our manager. And whether we want to back him or whether we don't want to back him, at the end of the day, as Rangers fans, we want our team to win. We don't want our team to lose. We don't want our team to draw. We want our team to win. And we don't want to see anyone fail, because if you sit there as a fan and you say, I want to see Martin fail, I want to see Tavernier fail, I want to see Raskin fail, I want to see Diamonde fail, I want to see Hadji fail, I want to see, although he's left, I want to see Danilo fail, then you kind of got to question, are you a fan? Because if they fail, the team fails. And if the team fails, the team loses. And if the team loses, then they get further ahead of us and they win the league again, probably. And nobody wants Celtic to win the league, apart from Celtic fans. So look, like I said, I think there was a deflation there. I think there was an upset there at him being appointed. But look, at the end of the day, we've got to accept that he's our manager and we've got to move forward with him as our manager. And that's the way we're at. That's where we're at. And that's where we're at this moment in time, unfortunately. That's where we're at. Let's have a look at some comments, guys. Like I said, I can't bring your comments up, but I still can read your comments out. Not a problem. I'm so far behind, though. Adrian says, wasn't impressed with the Russell appointment, but hopefully he can take our team with the right recruitment. Would you bring in Heart striker Jamie Walker? I haven't looked at him. I can't judge. Darling is good. Darling is good, actually. He is a good player. Darling is a very good player, so yeah, look him up. What's Russell playing style? Surely he knows more about anyone dealing with low blocks. I mean, yeah, he deals with, he's obviously had to deal with them in the Championship when he was at Southampton, trying to get Southampton promoted. The EFL Championship is different to the Premier League. You go to the Premier League and you don't really get a low block. No team really low blocks anybody. It's kind of just attack each other. Or both defend, there's not many of them element of that. So, he plays out from the back. He plays aggressive high press. He plays possession-based football. So, we'll have to wait and see. We are the people, says, finally we have a playing style. True. Owen, the joys have been a Rangers fan. Carried away till reality hits, lol. They've chosen their guy. For the moment, we have to trust their judgment. At one stage, I was 100% on Gerhard Struber getting the gig, to be honest. Says Singing, you were. I remember you telling me. It's down to money. He will do it for what we're offering. Very true. My big problem is Europe with Russell Martin, guys. What's the difference between Stevie Gerrard, Russell Martin fans, except Steven Gerrard's no experience as manager, and he wasn't really good manager. He wants to be here, so give him a chance. Robert Robertson says he's blown it before. Ball is kicked. Another year of Tavernier. What was he thinking? Every Rangers fan, etc., etc. Callum McGregor is over 8 years. We might not win the league next season, but if we can win 1 or 2 cups, run them close in the league, it's progress. Is the centre-backs we're linked with any better than Ben Davis? Mate, look, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? Hope so. Player for me to look up, says Paul, is Matinho. I'll make notes of all these. I better not write on that. That's my speeding fine. Yeah, I got done for speeding the other day, guys. I got done for speeding again the other day. Bad, innit? Bad. But yeah, I'm gonna have a look. I'll look into these names. I'm gonna start putting some videos together on some of these names that's been said. He will be aware that the Bears are not university behind him, and he could have made a big statement. He's fucked it. Hello, I'm back, says Doodles. Hello, Doodles. How you doing? Look, Duppy Hunter says, well done. I love that name. Not that name. Very dull man, my vibes of Russell Martin. Stuart, I've got to say, I was a bit bored listening to him. He didn't come across as the most lively of guys, did he? He did come across as a bit, and then I'm going to play with this style, and I like playing possession football, and I changed the format. He did come a bit like that, didn't he? He was a little bit like that. But look, what do you expect? He's a footballer. He's an ex-footballer. Most footballers don't have a lot of personality, do they? I mean, come on. At the end of the day, you've seen the interviews. I mean, like even Wayne Rooney's got none. Thank you, Doodles. That's very kind of you. Scott says, what about the boy from PSG supposed to be signing a 5-year deal? Yeah, I mean, that's that Kamara guy, isn't it? I mean, I've heard stuff. I've seen stuff. The only thing I'm going to say is I don't know whether it's actually going to happen now, because apparently it was a Coppen thing. It was a Coppen thing. So I don't know. I'm going to have to look into all these names you keep saying to me. So, but I think in terms of Russell Martin, we've kind of got to the situation now where we've got to kind of accept what we've got. I've got ADHD, can he be annoyed with boring people? I mean, our poll running tonight, do you feel more confident in Russell Martin now the dust has settled? 54% yes, 47 or 53, 54, 46. It's jumping around between the two. We'll leave that poll up for a little bit longer. Look, I don't think anyone's going to feel 100% confident in him until the first game gets played. Until the first game happens, until we see the team actually play football for the first time. So I think it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's a really interesting one. Bluno says, I watched his podcast with Gary Lineker today. Mate, I've got to say, I can't stand Gary Lineker. I think he's a dick. And Russell Martin has got up in my estimations. You remember Brendan Rodgers starting as manager, wasn't successful. Reading, Watford, he got Swansea up in the playoffs and he made his name. Yeah, he didn't he? And I mean, he was successful. He was successful to some degree at Liverpool in the fact that he, other than Steven Gerrard falling on his arse, he would have won the league. He was successful to some degree at Leicester when he won the FA Cup. So, he's got a bit of history, hasn't he? But I don't really want to talk about Brendan Rodgers, on a Rangers podcast. I'm not, the one thing that I'll get to your question in a minute, Paul. The one thing that we do on Rangers podcast, I think, really well that they don't do on Celtic podcast is we talk about Rangers. We don't talk about the opposition. If you watch a Celtic podcast, and there was a clip on X the other day They're fucking obsessed, man. They are absolutely obsessed with us. It's hilarious. Paul says, how long do you think he'll last in the job? Mate, he'll last as long as he keeps getting good results. I think he'll last the season. I've just... Look, let me tell you a story. I was driving to work this morning, right? It was like 5:30 in the morning. I was driving to work. I was fucking knackered. And I was driving to work. And I got to thinking about this whole situation. And you know what? And what I was thinking was, as I was driving along, right? As I was driving along, I was thinking, everyone expects him to fail. Everyone is writing him off, okay? Including me. I'm guilty. I'm guilty as charged before anyone comes back at me and calls me a hypocrite. And everyone's saying he's going to fail. He's going to be out by Christmas. I mean, even CJ Novo, when on the day that he was appointed, tweeted out, "Oh well, at least Barry will get another go at the job come February time," which I found funny. But you know, at the end of the day, I actually think because everyone expects him to fail, because everyone expects him to fall apart, I think he might succeed. He might succeed just because everyone else is falling apart and saying he ain't going to succeed. I might be wrong. I'm often wrong. I'm wrong quite a lot. But there you go. There's no point complaining. We wanted the takeover and it's happened. Absolutely amazed. Didn't know that Paul, he was the one they're thinking of replacing with Dio with. That's Matinho, isn't it? Yes. Russell Martin on Coach's Voice YouTube channel is worth a watch. Scott Miller says Umar Kamara is the boy's name from PSG, supposed to have knocked Man United back for Rangers, worth looking at. Paul Robertson gone before Christmas lights are up. Confident there, Robert, confident. And look at Vicente Pizarro. We watched him the other night. I'm going to have a look at these guys, mate. Vicente Pizarro. Owen speeding in his Porsche. Yeah, I ain't got a Porsche, mate. I've got a Toyota Yaris. Farley TV on YouTube is good for a laugh. Both Gerard and Martin interviews. Yeah, maybe Robert. Says, I think we're in the best position as a club since 2012, buzzing for this new era. We'll be pleasantly surprised if he proves us wrong. Agreed. Don't want Suter to sign a new deal. He's finished, says Scott Miller. I disagree. I like Suter. Sid, hello from Toronto. Hello, Sid. How's Toronto, mate? You are, 5-6 hours behind us? So, yeah. What time is it over there? It's about, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Owen, as you were driving along thinking of the famous, is that why you didn't see the blue lights in your mirror? No, I got done by a camera van, mate. I got done by a camera van on the road near my house, stupidly. Fucking camera van. I wonder if the people that work in camera vans lie about their occupation. You know, say they work in an abattoir or say they're like pedos or something, you know. I don't know. Not happy with the manager, says Sid. Look, mate, I think there's a lot of us not happy. Pizarro, Nico Raskin without any English, says Alan Austin. It's roasting in Toronto. There we go. It's hot in Toronto, guys. But now on the Russell Martin situation, thank you, Scott. I think, to be honest with you, mate, it's a situation where we've got to look at this in terms of this is what we've got. This is where we go. I wasn't happy. You know, none of us. I think there was a lot of us that weren't very happy. But we've just got to get on with it now. You know, he ain't going anywhere. You know, they're not going to come out next week and go, ha ha ha, got yous. It's not him, actually. It's actually Jose Mourinho. Or it's actually Steven Gerrard. Or it's actually Davide Ancelotti. Or it's actually his dad. You know, that's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. You know, this is what we deal with now. This is where we go. You know, Kevin Thelwell, Dan Purdy, and Russell Martin. That's what we've got to run with. That's what we've got to say. You know, that's where we're at. Jamie Pilmer, welcome Jamie. New name in the live chat is initially a bit underwhelming. Huge part of it will be the players brought in for him. Exactly. Yeah, I think, you know, that's a big thing, you know, is what we do with the squad. Now, the one concerning thing for me, slightly, was kind of what I got from the presser. How can you get a speeding ticket driving a Yaris? Because it's well fast, mate. It's well fast. It's well fast in it, bruv. And all that. It's actually Big Ange singing the blues. Oh my God, can you imagine? If people get wound up about Steven Gerrard coming back, or people get wound up about Marco Rosa when he was in the Celtic top, can you imagine? Can you imagine if Big Ange was unveiled as Rangers manager? Could you imagine what would happen? Riots. If Nico Raskin played for Celtic, they would get 25 million plus Dessers. They would get 10 million. Rangers are established because off the field problems on the board. Mark, good shout. Davide Ancelotti's eyebrows beat Russell Martin's. Good shout. We don't own a time machine, hence the last few decades. Very true. Look, I think at the end of the day, you've got to look at it like this. Like I said, we've got an era now where we've got to give Kevin Thelwell, we've got to give Russell Martin, we've got to give Dan Purdy, who's the head of recruitment, their heads. We've got to give them their chance to kind of, give them the very best and let them go with it and see what happens. See what happens. Like I said, the one thing that concerned me slightly was when Russell Martin was talking about working with the squad that he's got. He talked about the fact that, people believe that this squad can do better than it's doing now. That concerned me slightly. That was kind of I'm going to get one or two players, but I ain't going to get loads of players, and I'm going to have to pretty much work with what we've got at the club. That was a little bit, I might be wrong. I might be wrong, but that's what I kind of got from that, and that's a bit of a worry. That's a bit of a worry because I'll be honest with you, I don't think you can get any more from these players. I think what you see is what you get with these players. I think that's funny, mate. That's funny. Sorry, I'm just going to break off for a minute to read this comment. Ange has a new job working for the Royal Mail. He's known as Posty Coglu. Nice one. Big Flange got lucky at the Tims. We were so poor. Nah, but worry as if Brenda jumps Celtic, have substitutes bench on Big Flange. Yeah, he could come back, couldn't he, I suppose. Yeah, as Sid says, we need to unload loads of players. I think we do need to kind of do that. We do need to look at the squad. I think there's a lot of players in that squad who need to be moved on. Now, as I said on the video earlier when I was talking about Dessers leaving, no matter what your opinion is of Dessers, you've got to look, at the situation as it is, and you've got to kind of say, you can only sell what people will buy. And if people don't want to buy our players, then we're stuck with them. And the players they do want to buy might not be the players that we as Rangers fans want to sell. So there are players, I think, who will be sold this summer who are players who Rangers fans don't want to keep. So Ben Davis, I think, will go to Birmingham. Kieran Dowell, I think, will go to Birmingham. I think that, Nadim Bayrami will leave. I think he'll head off to one of the Italian clubs or one of the German clubs that are allegedly interested in him. But some of the other players that, that you've got at the club that you may want to see leave are not going to leave because Rangers are not going to just get rid of them. They're not just going to cut them tomorrow because they'll have to pay them off, okay? And Rangers are not going to sit there and go, right, you, Ross McCausland, you, come here, Come here, Ross McCausland. I'm sorry, you're not good enough anymore. Off you go. Bye-bye. Because he's under contract. He's under contract and he's going to cost money to get rid of. So it's not going to happen. Robin Propper, the talk is that he's going to 20. Hopefully he is going to 20. If he doesn't go to 20, at the end of the day, we're stuck with him. I think there is some players that will go, and I think if offers come in, Patrick Stewart's talked a lot about the whole situation with player trading. Okay, he's got player trading, and he's got that we want to develop this player trading model. We want to bring in the player trading model. We need to generate our own income. We need to generate our income from player sales. I think we're going to have to start to face a situation where players like Cyril Dessers, who some fans want to leave and some fans don't want to leave, will have to be sold because at the end of the day, we need the money. We need more money. The 49ers are not stupid, right? They ain't going to come in and give us 50, 60, 70 million to spend because they're not going to throw money after it when they're not going to get it back yet. At this point in time, they ain't going to get it back. So when they start getting into a situation where we're qualifying for the Champions League regularly, winning trophies regularly, and we're getting that money back in, you'll probably see the amount they start to spend increase. But for the moment, they'll spend what they can get by on, and we'll have to obviously generate other money through player sales. So that means players like Dessers, who at 30, 31 isn't going to get any better. His value is only going to decline. He's scoring goals at the moment. If Ajax come in, if Olympiacos come in and they offer 5 million, 6 million, 4 million, the club's got to look at it. It's got to look at it because it can't be in a situation where it's only relying on selling Matondo, Dowell, McCausland, etc., because those players might not be saleable assets. People might not want them. Paul McCorrickle says, I've got a feeling Patrick Stewart could become a problem with the fans. Mate, so do I. I do too. I mean, he hasn't backed the fans once. He didn't back them over the non. Look, I get you can't argue with UEFA. Not when you're Rangers. If you're Real Madrid, if you're Manchester United, if you're Manchester City, if you're Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, you can fight back against UEFA, because at the end of the day, you can go, well, tell you what, yeah, if you're Liverpool or you're AC Milan or you're Barcelona or you're Real Madrid, if UEFA threaten to fine you or threaten to do something you don't want to do, you know what you do? You turn around and go, well, I ain't playing in your competitions anymore. And they go, shit, if we haven't got Real Madrid in the Champions League, we're fucked. Let's back down. If Rangers turn around and say, hey, we ain't going to play in your competitions, they go, see you later then. We ain't bothered. Okay. That's just how it is, unfortunately. But yeah, Patrick Stewart didn't back the fans over that non-racist, non-dodgy banner that was just nothing at all. I mean, what annoys me, guys, and I don't really want to get into politics here on the show because it's a football show, is that banner about, borders and Europe and woke values and all that. Then you see, at the Champions League final, them unveiling Free Palestine and, anti-Israeli, which are clearly political and are on the same level as what we did. Yet nothing happens to them because being free Palestine and being pro-Palestinian is the in thing these days, and because you don't really understand what's actually going on in the Middle East. Okay, so we've got to look at it that way. Yeah, and I agree, Paul. It could become an issue. Crazy Celtic got 25 million for Kearney. He's on the way back. Matteo 20. They've got a perfect trading model. Blueness is a rumor that Brenda is going to West Ham. Well, Graham Potter's just gone there as manager, so I can't see that happening. I mean, he's not doing a clear out before the season. What the fuck? He can't, mate. I don't think he can. Because I don't think he's got the money to. I don't think we've got the money to get rid of 10 players and bring in 10 new players, of sufficient quality. And that's not the way the 49ers work. If you look at Leeds, they sold 3 players, generated a shit ton of money, and brought in 6. So I don't think that'll happen. Subbo, the thing with Dessers is we either need to play a way that suits him or replace him with someone that can play the way we play. Good shout, Sabo. I think to be honest with you, the way that Russell Martin plays, possession-based, high press, aggressive press, Dessers can't do that. He hasn't got the pace. Offer Motherwell 4 million for Miller. He's only got 1 year left. That's a sound shout, mate. Vardy would be a good addition. Tav go. Who would you bring in? Goalkeeper Jack Butland. I don't know, mate, at the moment. Dessers will be 31. Sell or hell. Raskin could be kept and given the captaincy. Patrick Stewart's a Tim in disguise. Palestine isn't even on Google Maps, as we other people. Lads, would you swap Dio Everton for Nathan Patterson? No, because I'd want money for him. I don't think Nathan Patterson's worth a lot of money at the moment. Did you see the state of Tierney last night? He's a dumpling. Guys be off loans deals going out of Ibrox. Yeah, there could be, Mark. I mean, it could be a situation where we start loaning players out like we did last season to try and generate some income. That's a good shout, mate. That's a really good shout, actually. Pesky wabbit. Yeah. Owen, glad we got rid of Dessers. We get rid of Dessers, Tav and Ridvan. Want to leave go because we need a new keeper. 2 centre-backs, a winger and a striker. Good shout. Patrick is Yoda from Star Wars. He's offended by Star Wars tifos. Yeah, I mean, that's the other one, wasn't it? I mean, the Star Wars tifo. I mean, as was pointed out by the fan advisory board and by the Union Bears as well, that the police came out and said there was nothing bad about or hate-filled about the banner. There was nothing wrong with the banner. The police came out and said that. Yeah, Patrick Stewart couldn't wait to get out and slag the Rangers fans off, which, at the end of the day, he's got to start to think a little bit before he speaks. He really has got to start to think a little bit, to think about what he's going to do and how he goes forward with this. I mean, look, in terms of these players, guys, like I said to you, we're in a position where, you can only sell what people will buy, and that's the issue. We've got a lot of players that do need to go. I'll give you that. If you go down the Rangers squad. If you go down the Rangers squad and you look at the Rangers squad as it currently stands, there's a hell of a lot of players in there that realistic, you would actually get rid of. You would probably turn around and get rid of. But it's unfortunately, it ain't as simple as all that, is it? It ain't as simple as kind of, just saying, I want rid of this player. I want rid of that player. Because, like I said, you can only sell what people want. And unfortunately, at this moment in time, we've got a lot of players that clubs don't want. Or that clubs won't give us what we think is a decent value for. That's kind of where we're at the moment. It really is. just looking at the squad quickly for a minute, right? I mean, this is the squad. Mark Dowie says Cifuentes is back from loan spell. He is. Either Dessers or Danilo will need to go as they're both on more than 25 grand a week, says Blue Nose. True. I think there is a player in Davis. Do you? Well, I haven't seen it yet. We need goalkeepers badly. Anyone watched Scotland keeper last night? Angus Gunn is. I don't want Angus Gunn. I really do not want Angus Gunn at the club. I've seen him play for Norwich. He ain't a good goalkeeper. If you watch Jack Butland and Jack Butland gives you kittens, you ain't seen nothing yet. Rangers proved Celtic are bang average. Look at the state of them against Aberdeen. Look, Celtic are bang average. And that's what makes this season even more galling, boys and girls, is the fact that we lost the league to them. We lost the League Cup to them, and we probably could have won the Scottish Cup had we got to the final, because they're bang average. They are absolutely bang average as a football team. I mean, like I said, you look at the Rangers squad at this moment in time, right? Butland needs to be sold. Tavernier needs to be sold. Look, whether you are pro-Tav or anti-Tav, the one word I'm going to say to you is culture. Culture. It's a word we've heard time and time and time and time again from Rangers people, okay? Not from me, but from Patrick Stewart, from Kevin Thelwell, from Russell Martin. All we've heard is it's time for a change of culture. It's time for a new culture in this football club. It's time for a vibrant culture. It's time for a new direction. Now, if it's time for a new direction, if it's time for a new culture, if it's time for a new start, a new beginning, then that means you change the people at the top. Because the people at the top of an organisation are the ones who set the culture, who set the beat that everyone dances to, who set the agenda. Now, we know now that Niels Koppen, gone. The chairman, gone. Okay, we know that the manager, gone. The captain has to go as well, because you want to change all the culture, then James Tavernier cannot be captain next season. He cannot lead that team next season. He needs to lead the team forward. We need someone else to lead that team forward. We need a new leadership group on the pitch, because the present leadership group isn't working. And why is the present leadership group not working? Because at the end of the day, we're not winning trophies. We're not winning games. We're not coming back from difficult situations. We're losing to shit teams in Scotland. We've not got anyone on the pitch who picks this team up and goes, fucking get at them. Sort yourselves out, lads. So Tavernier has to go, and I'm going to use Martin's words against him. I'm going to use Patrick Stewart's words against him. They've both spoken about a new culture at the football club. Well, if you're starting about a new culture, you take out all of the people at the top, you replace the people at the top who set the culture, because James Tavernier is part of that culture. He sets the culture. He's the captain. And whether you love Tav or you hate Tav, if someone's saying the culture has to change, then the leadership have to come out of that area, and you've got to put new leadership into that area, into that team, into that business to change the culture. And James is part of that culture. We'll get back to the squad in a minute. What have we got now? Lots and lots. Robertson, I'm like this every time. Lol, but Tav staying as a defender scares me too, because he can't defend. A good keeper now will cost you big bucks. Scott, you're right. Angus Gunn is Poppadom hands. He is pretty shit in goal, to be honest with you. Celtic do need to play a qualifier for the Champions League this season. Whoever they face will be stronger than Aberdeen. That's a great point, Alan. I'd love it if they missed out this season. It'd be proper funny. Liz, hi Owen and everyone. Hey Liz, how you doing? That's my missus, by the way. Love you, Liz. How you doing well? Hope you had a good day with the kids today. That's my missus, by the way, everyone. Sobbo, last season we had the skill and ability to win the league. Our players just don't have the mentality to do it. True. And that's what it's about. Culture, mentality has to change. You've got to start taking the core out, replace the core, replace the leadership, change the culture. He'd have a hell of an impact, Stuart. He's got a great sense of humour. Mitov at Aberdeen. He's a good goalkeeper. Yeah, Mitov is a good goalkeeper. Only we can manage to appoint head coach who had Tavernier as a teammate. True. We have a loser mentality. It's got to change. Agreed. Celtic will most probably qualify for the Champions League and win the league. Michael, I think you're probably a Celtic fan. Why don't play Tav on the right wing? Because he's not fast enough, Russell. You've got to be fast to play right wing and skillful. He hasn't got the speed or the skill to do it. Yeah, I like Mitov, Mark Dowie. Yeah, it's a good shout. Tav shouldn't even be discussed, needs to go. I agree. Stuart, he was on the pod last night. Remember, hit the like button. Thank you much, Paul. That's fantastic. Thank you. His missus, Erin, lol. All right, okay. Is that my missus or his missus? My missus was, my missus is Liz. McKee, Yabid, Rattler, get out of our page, dear brother. Xander Clark at Hearts. That's a good shout. We are the people. That's a good shout. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, you go down the rest of the guys. Problem with Tav is his wages. Nobody will give him 37 grand a week. Yeah, that's the big issue. James Tavernier's got look, whatever you say about James Tavernier as a footballer, he ain't fucking stupid. Yeah. Singing Lewis, how did you manage to pull Liz Owen? You're punching, mate. Funny singing. Thanks, mate. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Why'd you know her? By the way, guys, just so you know, Liz is Scottish. She is actually Scottish. She's from the Dumfries area. I'm not going to say where she's actually from. I'm not going to give away her hometown, but she is from the Dumfries area. She is Scottish. She has got a Scottish accent. So my girlfriend, my missus, my better half is Scottish, guys. Where does the Croatian national keeper play? I don't know, mate. Xander Clark isn't getting a game for Hearts. Yeah, I mean, Hearts, yeah. Shane Munn won't be ready for a couple of years, needs to go on loan. Munn's class. Munn is a good goalkeeper. He's a good goalkeeper. Sell the duds to Saudi. Saudis will buy anything, mate. They'll buy any old shite. Look, Ridvan looks like he's going to go. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and slag. I mean, I know some of you don't like Ridvan. I ain't going to sit here and slag Ridvan off. I like Ridvan. I think he's a good player. I think he's good going forward. He's good defending. He just can't stay fit. And that's the big thing. And the biggest thing for me that we've got to get right over these next 6 months to a year is get this whole fitness issue sorted, because it wasn't sorted under Clement. That he sat there and he openly said, that I'll get this fitness issue sorted. I'll make sure everyone's fit. I'm used to 95% availability, and he fucked it. He fucked it, didn't he? Yeah. So there we go. But Tav will sit on his wages. Yeah, because no one else is going to pay him 35 grand a week. If he goes down to England to play in the Championship, he ain't going to get 35 grand a week. If he goes to Turkey, he ain't going to get 35 grand a week. The only player where he's going to get probably 35, 40, 45, 50 grand a week is if he goes to Saudi. That's the only. And his passport to Saudi's gone now. His passport to Saudi was Gerrard, and now Gerrard's gone. He ain't going to go Saudi, lads. He ain't, unfortunately. Rangers always pick up good goalkeepers. We do, Mark, with the odd exception. Liz says, I really am Scottish. She is really Scottish, guys. Tav's a clever boy. Him and his missus building nice portfolio of houses in the park. Yeah, he's not daft. He ain't daft. Ridvan Besiktas, old club, offer 3 mil. Take it. Guys, loan out Cortez for fitness plus confidence. That's a good shout. Alan says, correct. Tav knows where his bread is buttered. He will not see better money anywhere. Ross Wilson gave him a legend's birthday cake. Yeah. No admin for the missus. Yeah, true. Don't know if she wants it. She hasn't even said anything to me about wanting to be an admin. Tav knows what. Yeah, he doesn't. I think Tav ain't going to move it when he's getting 35 grand a week. And Ross Wilson, he ain't going to sign him for Forest, because Forest are going to the Champions League, or not the Champions, the Conference League, sorry. So, Tav's holding out. He probably is holding out for a testimonial, and that's just the way it is. So Robin Proper looks like he's going to go. He needs to go, because, look, Robin Proper, he's all right in Europe, but in Scotland, he just can't handle it. He can't handle the physical aggression. He can't handle the pressure. He just can't handle it. He looks like a rabbit caught in the headlights, or a deer caught in the headlights, or whatever the bloody hell it is, caught in the bloody headlights. We have to give Tav money to leave like Connor Coulson. Don't want to do that, Mark. Don't want to do that. Testimonial will be so cringy, says Aldo. True. Suter, look, I know some of you don't like Suter. I like Suter. I think Suter's a good player. I do. I think he makes mistakes, yes, but that's why he plays for Rangers. But a lot of his mistakes are also because he's covering for others, and he's out of position because he's covering for Tav. He's covering for the other centre-back going missing. So he does make mistakes, yes, but I think some of those mistakes are not down to him. They're down to him being in the wrong place at the wrong time because he's covering for someone else. So I like Suter. I think he stays, because you can't get rid of everybody. You can't get rid of anybody. You like the Croatian keeper, but you don't know his club team, John. I'll try and find out. Cortez, look, we're stuck with Cortez. Whether we want Cortez or we don't want Cortez, he's staying. He's staying. He's going to cost us $4.5 million, which is a disgrace. I think Niels Koppen, that is the transfer deal that's going to define Niels Koppen's time at Rangers. It really genuinely is. No matter what you think of, his other signings, Hamza, etc., Jeff Tay, Dio, whoever, at the end of the day, Oscar Cortez will be the millstone that is carried round his neck. They have, Cranshaw, Yelovich, Cyril Dessers. I mean, Barron's a squad player for me. Connor Barron is a squad player. He's a good squad player. He's not a starter. He's a good squad player. Keep him there. Dessers, I would sell for 4 or 5 million because this is the time to sell, no matter what you think of him. Diomande, look, I honestly don't know why Everton would sign him. I don't know I don't see him as going down to the Premier League and having a massive impact. And if Everton are talking about not wanting to be a bottom half team next season and wanting to be a team that's in the top half of the league, that's what they're talking about in their new stadium, the Albert Docks FC, Tin Pot FC. Then I don't know why they would do it. I don't know why. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Bayrami needs to go. He's a passenger in every game. Cifuentes needs to go. Matondo needs to go. Nsiala, I think, will come good in time. Dowell needs to go. Sterling, if he could just stay fit. Sterling's probably our best defender. He really is one of our best defenders. If he stays fit. I'm excited with Lyle Cameron. I think Lyle Cameron's going to be a top buy, a good buy. I like the Lyle Cameron buy. I think that's a good one. I think that's a really good one. I think he'll have a really good impact. What else have we? Let's have some chats from you guys. Alan Austin says Proper equals better than Lager. Bielka was on loan at 20. They don't want him. That's probably why they want Proper back, mate. Eventually, Cop copped it. He did. 7 million for Dessers? I don't think so, Stuart. I don't think so. Connor Cody played at the highest level. Stroll our league. Be really good signing for Rangers. Scott, you're right, mate. Owen, are you looking forward to seeing how Cameron plays? Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. I'm really looking forward to Lyle Cameron, mate. I like Lyle Cameron. I think he's a good little player. He did a good job for Dundee. He played well for Dundee. He looks a decent player. I like him. He can play right wing. He can play left wing. He can play centre midfield. He can play attacking midfield. He can play in a number of roles. So I do think, that's a good. I think he's going to be a really good buy. Really good buy. Will Rangers bring back Leon Balogun, cheap wages sub player? No, I don't think they will, mate. I think he's gone now. Get Casa back on loan. Yeah, I said that, Scott. I'd be full for that. Do I rate Shankland? Do I rate Shankland? That's a hard one. I do rate Shankland, but I would question, can Shankland get back to being the player that I rated, the player that was the top scorer in Scotland, not last season, the season before? He's not getting any younger. He had a really bad season last season. His confidence is going to be at rock bottom. I don't see Shankland coming to Rangers, John. I just don't. Sterling won't be seen until February. See a pattern, says Alan. I'm excited about Lyle Cameron too. Yeah, I am as well. I'll take Shanks, says Sid. Josh Mulligan, Shankland, Miller, Penrice, Patterson will be good for the European squad. They will. Josh Mulligan's a good player, although there's talk of him going to Charlton, though I've heard. There's talk of him going to Charlton. Can't understand why Celtic got 10 million for Kyogo. Kyogo was poor last season for Celtic. He flopped in France. He did. I suppose his record in Scotland's quite good. That's probably why. Will Rice and Curtis get more game time in the coming season, Owen? I hope so. I really do. I'll come back to the squad later. I hope so, mate. I've got to say, I like Bailey Rice and Finlay Curtis. And I think, for me, the biggest test there was that Rice and Matt Mays, that's a brilliant point. I'll come back to that. I think you're right. I think you're right, buddy. Rice and Curtis came on against Manchester United, and they did really well when they came on against Manchester United, and they didn't let us down. Okay, they didn't let us down. And that's good. And Bailey Rice is a good player. He's a good player, and I really hope they do get more time. And they talked about developing academy players in the presser the other day. Bailey Rice for me could save us a shit ton of money. Everyone talks about if Raskin leaves or let's get a backup for Raskin. Well, I think we've got one in Bailey Rice if he's given a chance, and he could save us a shed load of money. He really could, and he could make us a shed load of money in the long run. And Finlay Curtis is a top player. He can play right wing, play left wing. He can play down the middle. Again, I think he's someone, given the right coaching, given the right development, could save us a shit ton of money, guys. Shankland could be a game changer. He's different. Now, he did play in a different position. He played deeper for Hearts. He played more as a 10 last year, didn't he, than a 9. So maybe that's something that they do. Yeah, He did blue nose. I'm just saying I don't see him. I think that whole Shankland to Rangers thing has kind of died. I don't, look, I'll be honest with you. If tomorrow morning, okay, Rangers say there's a press conference at Ibrox and they unveil Lawrence Shankland as a Rangers player, I'd be happy. Because he's a good footballer and because he knows Scotland. He knows how to play in Scotland. Perhaps he wouldn't be any good in Europe. Okay, he might not be any good in Europe. He might be another Chris Boyd. Okay, in Scotland, not great in Europe. And you know what? If he comes in, he scores us 15 to 20 goals playing in the 10 role behind someone else, I'd be happy. I'd be really happy. I really would. And we'd probably do a lot better as well. So I'd take that. I certainly would take that. McInnes is talking Shankland into staying at Hearts. I don't rate Bailey Rice. He won't make it. Alan, I think he will, mate. I think he's a good footballer. Rice was brilliant in Europe last season with the games he was in. Would have had him in a midfield over Diamonde. I think that Bailey Rice has suffered a lot from the fact that he hasn't had a fair crack of the whip and that Barry didn't use him well. And I think Barry didn't suit him. Lawrence Shankland in his career in Scotland, St Mirren, Aberdeen, Dundee, and was poor when he went to Europe. But yeah, this is what I'm saying, Mark. I think in Scotland he'd be all right, but in Europe, I think he'd struggle. And sometimes you have to have players just for domestic. I mean, look, like Walter did to something. I mean, when we did it with Chris Boyd. So look at Chris Boyd, scored shit ton of time. I'm just fussing the dog. He scored goals in Scotland. He did score goals in Scotland, and yeah, he didn't. That was his job. He helped us win the league. So I think, you could see that with Shankland to some degree. I really do. And like I said to you, I wouldn't be upset if Lawrence Shankland was announced as a Rangers player. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think that he could do a job for Rangers. I don't think he's on Rangers' radar at the moment. I really don't. Just to give you the fill in on the poll, guys, I've just finished the poll off. We could get Scotland international for nothing. Correct. Poll result. Do you feel any more confident about Russell Martin now? It does 54% say yes, 45% say no. Quite what's happened to the other 1%, God only knows. Rangers signed Bailey Rice instead of Lennon. Bailey Rice is a lovely football player, needs games, but yeah, he does need games. Dio isn't suited for Scotland game, hides in games, scared and bullied. I mean, he's another one that does well in Europe. I think the European style suits him. And I mean, will the English style suit him? You've got to ask that question. I think Shankland guarantees us 25 goals next season, says Mays. Look, Shankland, I think, is a decent player. And like I said to you, I do think that Shankland could do a job for us. He really could. Let's start a new poll just to finish off the podcast. Would you take Shankland at Rangers? Let's just bring that up, shall we? That's the question. Here's the question. Would you take Shankland at Rangers? That's the poll, guys. It's up. Give it a vote. Give it a vote. Okay? Give it a vote. Guys, just a reminder, please, if you haven't done so already, please smash the like. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Help the channel to keep on growing. Would I take 5 million plus Dio? Yeah, I would. Mark, I would. I would. Alan, he's a young player still. I think in time he could get there. Mate. In time he could get there. Yeah, I would. I would take. Sorry, Mark. I'd take Dio. 5 million Dio for Dio plus Patterson. I defo would, mate. Yeah, defo would. Look, guys, it's it's a weird time, innit? It's a weird time. It really is. It's a weird time. Get Gary Howden all the way from Miami or from Florida. I think it's Florida. It's not Miami, is it? It's Florida. Says, get rid of Dinio and get Shanks for free. He wants Shanks in for free. I mean, look, like I said to you, I think Shanks could do a job for Rangers. I really do. Whether he could do it in Europe is another question. Guys, I'm going to have to let the dog out. He wants to get out of the room. He's a pain in the butt. There you go. Off you go then. Go on then, out. What a prat. What a prat. Bruno says, we must not forget our Scottish identity and make sure we sign more Scots. I think it's important. And I did a video a while ago, or I mentioned it on a podcast a while ago, didn't I, about how you look at Walter Smith's teams, and you look at Walter Smith's teams that won leagues, And the core of the team was Scottish. The core of the team was Scottish. The core of the team that got to the UEFA Cup final was Scottish. And, it wasn't particularly full of massively talented, foreign players. It was full of it was full of Scottish players. I mean, just go back to that Rangers versus Zenit St. Petersburg final in 2008, right? So you go back to that final and you look at the teams, okay? You look at the teams. If I can find the teams, here we go. Teams. Here we go. This was the Rangers team that night, okay? So let's just go through this, right? This is the Rangers team that night. So this is the Rangers team that got them pretty much through all those games, got us through some difficult games, got us through games against some pretty decent teams, okay, and got us all the way. I mean, I remember us going through in Florence against Fiorentina, good side. Very funny we are, the people. So the team that night, Neil Alexander in goal. Not a particularly brilliant goalkeeper, but Scottish. Kirk Broadfoot, not a particularly brilliant defender, but Scottish. David Weir, good defender, Scottish. Carlos Cuellar, Spanish. Sasa Papac, Bosnian. Brahim Hemdani, Nigerian. Barry Ferguson, as a footballer, as a captain, as a Rangers player, love him. As a manager, no. Kevin Thompson, Scottish, not massively talented, but a good footballer. Stephen Whittaker, not massively talented, but a good footballer. Stephen Davis, Northern Irish. Jean-Claude Darcheville, French. So you look at that team, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Scottish players in that team. 6. Stephen Davis, you could say, is honorary Scottish, 7, but 6. The bench that night, Graham Smith, Scottish. Christian Daly, Scottish. Charlie Adams, Scottish. Amdi Faye, forgot he played for us, Senegal. Chris Boyd, Scottish. Nacho Novo, Spanish. And Lee McCullough, Scottish. So the vast majority of that team was Scottish. Okay? Scottish. So yeah, I do think that we do need a core of Scotland. Like I said to you, if you look at Walter's teams that were successful, the core of those teams, Scottish players. Even in the Loudrup and Gaza teams, a lot of Scottish players. Paul McCorrickle, Penrice, Doig and Mulligan would be good signings for us. I agree. They would all be good pickups, mate. Stuart says, who can we sell and not drop so far? I'd say Matondo, Butland, Danilo, Proper, McCausland. Now, I did read a report tonight, Stuart, that there's three clubs interested in Ross McCausland. Not sure who they are, but yeah, apparently so. Mark says, what about Penrice? Hearts left back. Would he take a step? That's a good shout, mate. I like him as a player. May says it's a period of transition. Hopefully it goes well and eventually we become the dominant force in Scottish football again. Hopefully, mate. Hopefully. That's what we all want at the end of the day. Remember, Walter Smith, Sasa Papat centre-half wasn't suited. Walter put him left back. Stephen Whittaker right back. Walter played him left back. It worked. Absolutely. Alan Austin says, I still chuckle at Kirk Broadfoot, a Smith signing. Yeah, definitely. Guys, will Russell Martin be another Tony Mowbray when he was Celtic manager? I mean, they do play a similar style of football. Tony Mowbray plays a very possession-based passing style football. Those of you remember his Sunderland team that got into the playoffs, didn't go up, I don't think. Had Amad Diallo played for us. Amad Diallo, Patrick Roberts, Joe Gelhardt, those players. What's he called? The left winger who went to Ipswich. Can't remember his name now. Jack Clark, ex-Leeds. Yeah, that team. He was very much a possession-based. Hemdani is Algerian. There we go. I'm sure I said he was Algerian, Mark. Maybe not, mate. I don't know. At the moment, mate, I'm so tired. I've done an 11-hour shift today at work, and obviously my head is a little bit at the moment anyway, with everything that's going on. So, yeah, I mean, look, he could be another Tony Mowbray, mate. He could be another Tony Mowbray. Guys, look, tonight, it's been a pleasure being back on live. Won't pretend it's been easy. It's been hard. The last month has been really hard for me. I'm not back to my best yet. I'm nowhere near as back to my best, but we'll get there. Walter did well to inherit the mess that Le Guin left. He did. The way Scotland football team, the Scottish players won't be worth much because they can't win a game under Fenian alcoholic Clark. Alan Austin says, Cincinnati kid, McCausland, Ball, one team Swiss champions, for fuck's sake, sack your scouts. Yeah, true. But the Swiss league, Alan, is not exactly the strongest league in the world, is it? I mean, let's face it. Gotta say, right, guys, just before we go, before I go, okay, let me just check. I just want to check something. Young boys, burn. Okay, so you got to be really. I'm just googling a Swiss football team. You've got to be really careful when you Google this Swiss football team. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Right, yeah, right. What is Young Boys Bern's football stadium called in Switzerland? What is Young Boys Bern football stadium called in Switzerland? Live chat, over to you. The recruitment is to bring in the right. Yeah, he does. That's 100%, and that's what Thelwell, Purdy have got to do. We have to remember the Gwen at Ibrox top coach failed. He did. Mays, feel for you, buddy. I know what you're going through, mate, and I only lost one, but my main one, mate, and it fucking kills and it hurts. Could tell you wasn't yourself. Now you were hit when you. Yeah, Russell. Can you remember Peterborough winger Cabu we're linked with? I'll have a look into it, Mark. It's on my list. I've got a big list. I can't do all the players in one video or else the video will go on forever, but I am looking at videos. What is the name of Young Boys Stadium? It's fucking hilarious. And it is genuinely called this because I have checked it twice. Okay. But yeah, look, it's an exciting area. Celtic's wet dream stadium. Stuart, good guys. Please, God, take McCausland off us, says Scottish. Mates, look, I think, at the end of the day, look, McCausland did an all right for us, didn't he? There's an Englishman delivering a van of monkeys to the zoo, and he meets an Irishman. The Englishman pays the Irishman €50 to bring the monkeys to the zoo for him. Hilarious. The Jimmy Savile Arena. That's funny. That's what Celtic Stadium's called, mate. Israel striker any good? I like him, mate. I think he looks a good player for two reasons. Like I said, I'd sign him for two reasons. One, he knows where the goal is, creates chances, good player. And secondly, he'd wind Celtic up. So it's got to be good. It's got to be good for that reason, and it's hopefully not Alan. Guys, any advance on this stadium? Any advance on this stadium? Any advance? Any advance? Guys, the name of Young Boys Burns Stadium is, and I'm not making this up, this is genuinely the name of the stadium. And this pretty much sums up for you who think that Spal have been a bit daft trying to sign McCausland. And this sums up the Swiss League in one word. Please work. There you go, guys. That is the name of Young Boys Burns Stadium. If you don't believe me, go away and check it out. It is called the Wankdorf Stadium. The Wankdorf Stadium. Yes, that's what it's called. And that sums up the Swiss League. Wankdorf. Absolutely. Yeah, later on the day, the Englishman sees the Irishman. Blue Nose, come on, you got to tell this joke, mate. We're running out of time. Alan Brazil was pumped at their stadium. Yes, Russell, it really is called that. Later on the day, the Englishman sees the Irishman driving the van of monkeys away from the zoo. He says, "What are you doing? I told you to bring them to the zoo." "I did," says the Irishman. This is going to be a joke about him taking them round the zoo, isn't it? What will Rangers do with the old Rangers shop? Plus, they should buy a school football complex across. That's a good shout. Wankdorf Stadium, that's true. But I had some money left, so I was bringing them home to the cinema. Very funny, Blue Nose. Very funny. It took you time, but you got there. Scottish, does anyone back in Russell Martin? We had a poll, mate. It was 54% said they were more happy. Look, Scottish, as I started this podcast off, we've got to back him. Because at the end of the day, he's Rangers manager. No one wants to see him fail, because if he fails, Rangers fail. And none of us want Rangers to fail. None of us want us to finish second to Celtic again. None of them want us to see them lift 56 again. So at the end of the day, we've got to back him, mate. We've got to back him. Right, guys, thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you here on the channel. On the way out, if you could obviously smash the like, comment and share. Scottish is after hearing him speak, excited to see what he brings. Look, like I said to you, I think we all got hyped. Funny, Alan. We all got hyped, didn't we? So let's just go with it. We've got to go with it. We've got to run with it, don't we? Mark says 49ers will make loads of money. American TV rights plus pre-season. They will. Okay, guys. Thank you for watching tonight, guys. It's been a pleasure speaking to you as always here on the channel. If you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember always, please never forget, ever, we are the people.